you all for coming. This is Steve Roller. He's had a long career in marketing and advertising. He's a copywriter. He's been doing that for about 10 years. And before that, he's worked in direct sales for 10 years. So he's really good at selling things. He's very good at building businesses. And I can't wait to hear what he's got to say.
Thank you, Mandy. Thank you for having me, Ruby, especially. Thanks for hosting this, and Mandy for organizing this and getting people here. This is great. I actually do a 2-day workshop, so I do a workshop for copywriters that work for companies and marketing departments, but a lot of times small business people will come to that too, so I'm used to talking to small business people and helping you grow your business. As Mandy said, I've been a copywriter for about 10 years, and I don't know, does everybody understand what a copywriter is? Basically, my business card says, when you're in business for yourself, you can give yourself any title, and it says Chief Wordsmith and Marketing Strategist. So that's the title I like to give myself, but really it's two worlds. The writing part of it is crafting the messages. In fact, my tagline is crafting messages that get results. Plain and simple, that's what I help people do. And then the marketing strategist is making sure that people are putting those messages into the right format and getting those out to the world so that people find out and know about your business and that it brings more people in the door, unless you're in a situation where you don't need that right at the moment. But in any case, I've been a copywriter, freelance copywriter for about 9 years, since 2004. And going back before that, I was in direct sales going back to really my college days in 1986. So, hi, welcome. I saw you before, didn't I? Thank you. Thanks for, we just got started. So anyways, so that's my background, and what I wanted to do today, I've got some notes here that I'm going to, thank you. Yeah, squeeze in. I've got some notes on what I think, what I want to cover and things that I think will be valuable to all of you. I want to talk about marketing, not only Los Alamos as a whole and trying to bring more people into the city as a whole, which would help each of your individual businesses, but as much as possible, maybe tailor some of this discussion to your individual businesses and help you, give you strategies and tips and tools that will help you bring more people to your individual businesses as well. And so there's a number of things we'll be talking about. I'll give you some ideas and tips on that, but I am very open to this being an open forum, and if you have questions, I don't have to stick to my agenda, I don't have to stick to my notes. If you have questions or a different angle or something that I'm not covering that you want to talk about, if you want to focus more on social media or just email marketing or direct mail or any particular type of marketing or the copywriting end of things, I'm very open to just going in whatever direction we want, and Mandy can keep me on track here too, and if there's something that I am not covering, make sure you jump in, or if you have questions. But if you have questions anywhere along the lines, certainly feel free to jump in. So really there's two sides to this. There's the writing side and there's the marketing side. And I'm going to grab my notes so I don't miss covering anything here. I've got a lot of notes. And do we have about 45 minutes, an hour or so maybe?
Yes.
Okay.
An hour plus, probably.
Okay, well, we can certainly go as long as, and Mandy actually came up with this title, which I thought was great, 7 Strategies to Sell More in Los Alamos. And so that's what I do. I'm a marketing strategist and a copywriter, so I help small businesses, and actually I've worked for large companies too, but locally, I'm from Madison, Wisconsin. That's where I went to school. I grew up in Wisconsin. I went to school at the University of Wisconsin. Never had any intentions of getting into advertising, marketing, and stuff. I was an economics and international relations major, but there was more money in this, and it just became my passion. So I really enjoy the world. I have a passion for writing in general, copywriting especially, but even more than that, I think I have a passion for finding out about businesses and really digging into businesses. And as a freelancer, I have a lot of different clients in a lot of different areas. And one of the things that I love doing is really digging into a business, finding out what you're all about, what your product or service is, who your audience is, and trying to find a unique angle and something special about your business, and then framing it in a way that we can get a message across to people that will resonate and connect with them, maybe on a little deeper level than what you've thought. I mean, sometimes it's really obvious to think about your business. If you have a flower shop, obviously, you know who buys flowers and you know how to advertise flowers, and you can put the typical types of ads in the paper, on the radio, or different methods, or have a Facebook page and things. But sometimes if we think maybe a little bit deeper about these, about what really connects somebody or what draws somebody to our business, we can attract more people. And so it takes the idea and then crafting that message and getting people to actually do that. So that's kind of the approach I take when I have a new client, is digging into them a little bit deeper, finding out, talking to their clients, talking out to their customers, finding out really what they're all about, and doing a lot of research on the front end. So I don't know. Hey, how you doing? Those brownies were excellent, by the way. I still, unless Mandy ate my second one, I still have one left. Okay.
So she says.
Okay. So we just got started. So
Ken, somebody was locked out of the art center.
Yeah, we figured that one out.
Oh, good.
but I think there's a few reasons why that approach works, and why the freelance clients. The only way I stay in business is by helping my clients make more money. And same thing with Mandy, and I know she's done a great job helping some local businesses here get their message out, do things on their website, do some social media stuff, and I know she's got some really big plans and big ideas for probably all of you. And I would, as much as possible, tap into her expert resources and expertise. She knows what she's doing. I'm not local, she is, and she knows your business is probably better than anybody being here besides you. But I think the reason that this approach works that I take is, one, it's personal. I try to really, help businesses craft a message that's personal and really lets their customers know who they are, and they find out who their clients are. It's direct. What I do is what I call direct response copywriting. So I'm not necessarily crafting image ads and trying to rebrand a company, like a big company like Coca-Cola or a big company would do, and craft a clever Super Bowl ad and just make people laugh. I'm trying to get people to do something. So that's what I call direct response copywriting, is writing marketing messages that's designed to elicit an immediate response from people. And obviously in most cases, the response you want to get is to get them to come into your door or to your website and buy something, correct? Some of you, I know what you do now. Some of you, I didn't. What kind of business do you have, sir? Or is it too? I didn't mean to put you on the spot. I was just curious. I'm going to ask these guys too, but.
Sure. So I take money from everybody in this room.
That's exactly what
That's
you
exactly
His name is Robin Hood.
I'm a counselor for the county.
Okay. Oh, very good. Okay.
And I'm an engineer at the laboratory, but that's not.
Okay.
He takes so much abuse from us that he's taken an interest in what we're doing because he knows otherwise he'll hear about it.
Yes.
All right.
But that's my business. I take money from. Well, it's kind of like I take money from everybody and then I spend it.
Okay. I
And
like
that nice
that.
new municipal building over there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
Good.
paid for it, excuse me.
No, but,
I like
but
that.
I'm to be serious. I'd like to hear as much from the audience as to what they see the issues are.
Sure.
So I
Sure.
think this seems like a good opportunity to get
Good.
a response. And I apologize, I'm going to have to leave at 6.
Okay.
After 6.
Okay.
For another meeting.
This will be better than
I'm glad you're here. And actually, after I.
After you're done, you can come to my.
After I introduce a few things and talk about a few things, one of the things I do want to open it up just real quickly in a few minutes and just find out from you what you think some of the challenges are, either individually for your businesses or for Los Alamos as a whole, and some of the challenges that you see in bringing people here. And I guess one thing that I could maybe provide is just a quick outsider's perspective. I mean, you're all here. Your business is here. You know the town. You know the people. You know your business. Mandy knows the town and your business. What I might be able to offer, and maybe not from walking around the town for 3 hours, but a little bit of an outsider's perspective on what I see here. And just from what I've seen in 3 hours is I'm impressed. I like it. It's just a neat town. It's got a neat vibe, and I think there are certainly some ways you could capitalize on that. It just has a neat I mentioned Mandy that it reminds me of certain towns like Flagstaff, Arizona, Bisbee, Arizona, maybe a little bit of Asheville, North Carolina. Just there's some interesting things here that I think you could really capitalize on and leverage and just let people know. So not so much always just getting people from inside the town. Obviously, you want more of them to come here and come to your businesses, but getting people to come from outside the town too, and maybe more. One of the challenges or hopes that Mandy and I talked about is maybe getting more people from Santa Fe to come here as a side destination. You know, I'm actually going to be in Santa Fe the rest of the week, and I've never been there, but I know when I go to places, I like getting off the beaten trail. I like doing things that everybody else isn't doing, and going back home and telling people about this cool little town that I found, or this cool shop that I found, or this neat art gallery that I found that, you know, they had the coolest thing, these local artists and the sculpture, and it was so cool. They had the bike chains and this from a motorcycle, and just telling people about things that are not the norm. So I think that's something you can capitalize on too and leverage, that you're different. You're not Santa Fe, and you're not trying to be. You're your own place. So I think that's kind of cool. But this approach, like I said, it's direct response. And again, I've worked with both big national companies. I was mentioned to Gayle that I actually have worked with the company Proactive. I worked on a campaign for a company that she's very familiar with and working with now called Rodan and Fields on a direct sales type of program. But I've worked with the parent company, and so I'm familiar with that. But I've worked with very small local companies too. One of my clients is actually a business very similar to what you have here, Ruby. It's called Yola's Cafe. And if you go to their website, yolascafe.com, I help them with their website and their tagline and all kinds of things. But just one of the things that I did for this particular local client is just he had a business in a place like this, and the two previous cafes had failed. Over like a 3 or 4 year period, nobody was making a go of it. The rent was fairly high. It wasn't in a real obvious spot, and everybody warned this guy not to go there. Well, he went in and he was making a go of it, but not making a lot of money. Well, we just did some just very simple things to start connecting with his customers and getting both on Facebook and Twitter and putting videos out there and just coming up with a new tagline. We came up with a new product. He became the king of waffles in all of Madison, Wisconsin. This guy, because of something I suggested, he became the king of waffles. And they have these iron press cast iron waffles, and you walk in there and it always smells like waffles. And they are known for waffles. I think if you Google waffle Madison, Wisconsin, they are top. You know, so I don't know if anyone's searching waffles Madison, Wisconsin, but but in any case, and he's using his business space after hours as like a business incubator. In fact, it's that kind of thing could work here even. He's connecting business owners and he's renting space out after hours at his cafe to people to network, to have meetings, to things like this. But just doing all kinds of interesting things, utilizing his space. We're even talking about having a creative space like they do in big cities like Seattle and Denver and New York City, where creative type people who work at odd hours like I do. I work at sometimes 2, 3 in the morning, and having people that work freelance and work on our own that don't have a meeting space. He's talking about having like meetups at night where people could come in at night and rent space and work together and collaborate sometimes with other freelancers and other creative types, but all kinds of just interesting ideas like that. But I mention that just only to say that I've worked with local businesses too, and I help a lot of local businesses, so I can relate to what you're doing. The other thing is my wife is a local artist, and sometimes people think because I'm a writer and she's an artist that we're probably starving because we have 4 kids, but we've both made a go at it, and she's an artist and a mural artist, and we've used all these techniques, this direct response copywriting, the marketing strategies that I'm going to share with you. We've used these on her business, and over the last 7 years, she's been able to make a living as an artist doing what she loves because she's got people coming to her. They don't just naturally find her, but she has advertised and marketed her business like a regular business. She hasn't waited for things to fall into her lap. So anyways, that's kind of a little bit of background. But again, my purpose is really to help all of you maybe think about ways to get more visitors both to Los Alamos and to your business as individually. And that's a challenge. But I was just thinking about why visitors would want to come to Los Alamos. Now, I was thinking more from outside of the town. Obviously, you want to bring people as much as possible downtown that live in Los Alamos, too. But I was thinking, why would people want to come to Los Alamos from outside of the town? And I was just brainstorming ideas. I kind of like me to be different, to experience a town that's unlike any other, to see some kind of cool sights in Los Alamos. Just this science museum. What was the science museum called?
Library Science Museum.
Yes, very cool place. I thought, man, that could be a place that history buffs would really be into. But there's some neat things. Because you can only see so many art galleries in Santa Fe, you got to come here and see something different. Because there aren't a lot of tourists here, maybe that could be a selling point. Maybe it's less. I don't know about this, but maybe it's less expensive than Santa Fe. It's maybe quieter. Maybe spend a more reflective day or two here, away from the hustle and bustle of Santa Fe, to see some incredible natural beauty. To dispel the rumors that the only thing in Los Alamos is the lab. I don't know if that's a rumor or not. I just thought of that. But just to check out there's some kind of cool, funky places here, it seems like. So I think there's a lot of reasons why people from even outside the city would want to come here. But let me ask you, and let me just your individual business or just the city as a whole, what do you think some of the challenges are of bringing, what challenges do you see as a business owner getting people to come to your business, and just in general?
I think everyone here would agree that we, as a town, have recognized that years of the fingers on the end of an arm, and that people would have to intentionally come here. They wouldn't just pass through here and go, oh, that looks like a neat town. So getting the word out, perhaps to places where people do go, that being Santa Fe, hey, half an hour away is a fantastic place. Bandelier, our trails, our mountains, our food,
Yeah.
the environment, just as you said. It is that classic. How do we communicate that in a way that we haven't? Because we've tried. We, the town, has tried.
That we could be a destination.
Yes, a destination, precisely. Or even a tangent off a destination. Like, sure, go to Santa Fe, but don't spend all your time in Santa Fe. Man, what's around you? That being Bandelier, Los Alamos.
Right.
And we just, I think, need a unique way to get that message out.
Have you ever tried any, I mean, I don't know what you've done, but have you ever tried just coming up with almost like a total branding campaign or a tagline or there you go. Okay.
I thought he just sort of solved that, because, what he just said, not the norm, that's perfect for Los Alamos tagline.
It's true.
It's like no place you've ever been.
So we're actually in the middle of a county finance branding and marketing
Okay.
contract that council has gotten some grief about. But so I'm glad that you're.
Why have you gotten grief about that?
Because I don't. That's exactly. You're right.
It costs money.
Okay.
And you know what?
Because money, and just too many people, maybe most people, it already has a very strong brand as the birthplace of the nuclear age, as the science, the highest PhD per capita, the science museum, and so forth. So some people feel that we already have something to attract people to Cameron. It's just a matter. It's not a matter of that, but other people, myself included, feel that there are broader things. Like sports, for example. We have a tremendous sports community. Probably half the people here ran the duathlon yesterday.
Okay.
I mean, there's Olympic athletes that live in town.
Okay. Are you a duathlete?
No, I'm not, but
okay.
I'm the contract manager on the training campaign for the county.
Oh, okay.
She's our girl. I've done
Yeah.
Ironman in Madison twice.
You have?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I love Madison.
Do you know the bike course is about a block from my house?
Okay, well, you probably get
One-
annoyed by all of us.
Well, on that Sunday, we can't drive anywhere. We can't go anywhere. Our whole neighborhood, near that brew pub, the Tide House, if you remember that, out in Verona.
Oh, yes.
I'm a block from there.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh,
It's nice.
yes.
As you say, why do you have that, whatever the verb was that you used, David, about, you got in trouble for doing something. Grief.
Well, let's talk about me.
No, because I'm building off of that with the reality in that this town really, really, I've lived here for 30 years happily, and there is a contingent of people who cannot do, who like to crepe hang, to like to squelch ideas, to like to derail. I don't know if it's their hobby or what, but a great idea will get going and a few voices speak up and we cater to them.
And I don't know if that's true as much as people are tired of studies getting done and outsiders being paid for them.
I have a
And
PhD
then-
business here in town,
and then it
I
doesn't
was
happen.
told that I would never make it. And shut up and go away because I'm making
And
it.
that's the problem, is that studies get done and then something doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Well, analysis
That's
paralysis,
the city.
I think.
That's
Did you
the
hear-
city, but if we're doing individual businesses, we don't have to.
Ruby said analysis paralysis.
And I
We
really
are.
think
Yeah,
because of
yeah.
the level of intelligence in this community, I mean, people really do care and they think it's true, but you've got various sides of it and no one will let go.
Yeah, yeah.
And so you get stuck in this paralysis.
There was an
Sure.
article by Joel Stein in Time magazine. I like his articles, they make you laugh. But in it, he's had this one statement in there that in Los Alamos, he doesn't understand how the LA, gotta get this right, the LA City Council can sit there every week and they get at the beginning the same people coming up with the same complaints about the same things week in and week out. And all you had to do was change the name city to county, and you'd swear he'd been right here in Los Alamos. And that's part of it's endemic to the community.
Yeah.
That it's the same thing over and over and over again. Now, maybe it's changed now that you're on the council and you cracked the whip. My guess is you hear from a lot of the same people every week.
I think there's incredible amount of potential,
Yeah,
and because we've lived here so long, we don't realize
sure.
that potential. Some, myself included.
Yeah.
Oh, if you go, wow, this would be a great thing to do, and because we're a small community, and we are at the dead end. We feel distinct from northern New Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
We feel a little different. So anyway, I think that there are many ways.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying too about the paralysis by analysis and committee and overthinking things or my city's a little different, Madison, it's bigger, but it's similar in the way it's a university town, it's a government town, a heavy government town, a lot of PhDs also in Madison, and our common council, our city council is the same way, it's on a bigger scale, but a lot of things just don't get done. I mean, they wanted to build a new hotel, and it took like 3 years of meetings, and it's just like, so I guess what I would encourage you all to do as much as possible is maybe take it upon yourselves to do some things, and maybe the place to start is with your own individual businesses and not worry so much about the branding campaign of the city and the county. That hopefully will come about, and that will help, but maybe taking things into your own hands and starting with your own business first and using some of these ideas, and then but I think working together in this kind of I think there can be some serious synergy working together and bouncing off ideas and getting together with people that are like-minded, motivated, sharp, kind of big thinkers versus the people that are trying to do the opposite and squelch your ideas. So anyway, in fact, hey, thank you for coming. Sure. Good to meet you. So all those things are, before I even came here and saw the town, I was just some words that I was just thinking of, just some fresh, and this was before I saw Los Alamos today, but just what I looked up on, just online, just to get a feel for the community. These were just towns or just words that I thought of, and phrases and things that, I don't know, somehow maybe as a city as a whole you could incorporate, but then I'll talk about some marketing methods and some things you can do individually too. offbeat, and I mean these all in a very positive way.
Believe me, you can't insult.
Don't take these the wrong way. Offbeat, quirky, mysterious, unknown, a good day trip idea from Santa Fe, not crowded, fresh. This is New Mexico. Playoff, no, forget that one. I was going to say a play off the Las Vegas line. What happens in Los Alamos stays in Los Alamos. No, that doesn't work. The New Mexico. Yeah. You don't want that. The New Mexico you've never seen, different, an experience you won't forget. Beautiful, real people, real New Mexico. Fascinating history. Los Alamos, much more than just the lab. Get out of Santa Fe just for a day. Something about a play on travelers versus tourists, and I don't mean that in a negative way either, but to me, tourists go to see all the normal things that everybody goes to see and that are on the big to-do lists. Travelers are more like, what's that? They wear fanny packs and high socks and, but maybe something on that play of, this Los Alamos is for travelers, and people that want to get off the beaten path, that kind of thing. And I think compared to Santa Fe, I don't know, it's probably easier to get a hotel here. It's less crowded, maybe less expensive. These are just, I'm going to talk a little bit more later about the idea of content marketing and putting out articles and getting just good press out there without waiting for newspaper articles, but putting things out there yourselves on your own websites or blogs, but just headline articles. Why more tourists are leaving Santa Fe just for a day. What travelers to Los Alamos know that tourists to Santa Fe don't. 7 things you didn't know about Los Alamos and won't find out in the guidebooks. How Los Alamos emerged as the must-see northern New Mexico destination. These are just off when I was flying here this morning. Los Alamos, for offbeat, adventuresome travelers only. The northern New Mexico you haven't seen yet. Los Alamos, the easy Santa Fe getaway. Again, the New Mexico you won't find in the guidebook. So just ideas on just thinking about Los Alamos in a different way. I mean, this is just how I see it, and I think there's some ways that you can target people. But the bottom line is that I'm going to be talking about both crafting the ads and writing the messages, and that's kind of my expertise, and Mandy is very good at this, at crafting messages, but also the marketing messages too, and how you get those out. And there's a lot of different ways to get those out, but so let me kind of go through a few different things, but I want to talk about social media, I want to talk about email marketing, I want to talk about print. Is anybody here doing radio ads? You guys do? Okay. Okay. One thing that I'm finding to be very effective these days for a lot of my clients is doing some kind of video marketing and putting out a video. People are watching videos, so doing videos to do something. But I think it starts with this idea of finding out reasons why people would want to come to your business, and thinking about this, almost putting yourselves in your, I don't know if you want to call them, they're different for each business. Customers, clients, visitors, clientele's shoes, and getting inside their mind. And this is where I think it starts, and figuring out, why, and thinking about this on a little bit deeper level of why people would want to come to your business. And just some questions to ask yourself. What benefits do you offer? I know that there's obvious benefits, and obviously we know what the benefits of buying flowers are, but thinking about that on a deeper level. But thinking about that and then figuring out, okay, well, what is my most compelling benefit, or what I would call a unique selling, maybe you've heard the marketing term unique selling proposition, USP, or some people call it a unique selling point. And what I would describe that as is just what is the most compelling benefit? What is the biggest reason why people would come to your business? And that would be your unique selling proposition. Not necessarily a tagline, but a unique selling proposition is more of an internal marketing line that would kind of guide your strategy. So I'm trying to think, just like having been in your gallery this afternoon, Karen, do you, for your business, do you have what you would call a tagline, or do you have a unique selling proposition, what you think is the most compelling reason why people come to your business?
Not really specifically, just that we have Los Alamos artists.
So even that,
Some of them are retired scientists turned artists, and it's really interesting seeing them go from one to the other, what they can do as artists.
yeah, interesting. Just off the topic, but have you ever told the stories of the artist, like the backstory, and not just talked about the art and the sculpture or the piece that's in your gallery, but have you ever like told the story, like the backstory of the artists and who they are? And
We're trying to do that now. Trying to
Okay.
get more of that out of them. It's a little hard because sometimes you ask for some information, you're like, I don't want to talk about that.
now there's a situation where sometimes I write some monthly newsletters for clients where instead of them doing it, they hire me and I interview their clients. Or
Randy, contact my artists. try to get stories.
there we go. For some reason, sometimes having an outside person do it versus you as the business owner, they feel they open up more, or but doing something like that, and that would lead into one of the ideas that I'm going to talk about is the idea of a monthly newsletter. And I don't know how many of you are connecting on a regular basis with your clientele with a monthly newsletter, and that doesn't have to be, that could be a print newsletter or an email newsletter, but I just think in general, it's just, I think most businesses could stand to be in touch with their, I'll say readers, but clientele, customers more often, and not just when they're trying to sell them something. And a couple benefits of having a newsletter is that it allows them to get to know you a little bit more on a little bit more of a personal level. A lot of these things that I talk about are trying to get to know people and having more of a connection, more of I guess a real connection, authentic connection with your audience, so that when you do send out a message, they trust you. They already like you. They trust you. People that like you and trust you are going to be more likely to buy from you. So I just think an email newsletter is one way to communicate with people on a regular basis. I'm jumping around all over the place now, but how many of you have a way of, well, let me ask, how many of you have a list, like either a physical mailing list or an email list of your clients? Okay. How many of you are using? And Mandy's helping with that. Okay. Yeah. You know, even no matter what the business is, you can find a way to use a list. But I just think it's very important to, number one, develop your own list of people that have been to your business or use your services, use your pet supplies, and then using that list on a regular basis. The one thing I hear from business owners is that they err. I guess the mistake I see a lot of business owners make is that they err on the side of not using their list enough because they're cautious. They're very cautious about using it because they don't want to appear like they're selling too much or they're being too pushy or they know how they feel. And it's like, oh my gosh, I get an email from that guy every week, and I delete him and I don't listen to him. But if you're putting something interesting out there and not just using your list to always sell something, I'm sorry about that. If you're using your list for other purposes besides just trying to sell people something, they'll be more receptive to it. And I guess the formula, this 80-20 rule applies to a lot of things, but the formula that I use in my own business is I try to, in my connections with my list, is about 20% of the time I'm trying to sell. I mean, they know I'm always ultimately trying to sell something, but about 20% of the time I'm very overtly trying to sell something, and about 80% of the time it's other content, either an article that I thought that they would appreciate, or maybe an article that I wrote, but something of value, something that would benefit them. So I'm always trying to think, well, what would my readers, what would my audience want to hear? What could I do to provide value to them? So no matter what your business is, think about, okay, yeah, I'm trying to build my business, I'm trying to sell more stuff, but maybe as a pet supply company, you can give them tips on, how to deal with your dogs in the summer. Just it's useful things, or 3 ways to have a healthier pet, or why people that buy stuff at our store don't need to put their dogs on diets, or whatever it might be, but just useful articles, useful information. So providing people with good content. So I think connecting with your readers on a regular basis. Let me back up here too. I was talking about just taking a step back and looking at your business from the client standpoint. The other thing is that keep in mind that people, for the most part, buy for emotional reasons. And this really, I think, is true for almost any kind of business. You might think, well, I have a straightforward, does that apply to pet supplies? I don't know.
We sell love for your pet.
There you go. I think it does. I think almost any business, you could say that. The skincare business, there's emotional reasons why people buy that. It's not just the physical reason, I like having good skin. There's issues of just pride and feeling good about yourself and confidence and all kinds of things that come into play when you're talking about skincare. In fact, a few years ago when I worked on this campaign for Proactive, this acne medication, we discovered that there were some really deeper reasons why people were buying this stuff, and it was very, very emotional reasons. And if you look at their ads now, they have late night infomercials, they have direct mail stuff, they have radio ads, they have kiosks in the mall where you can buy this stuff, but a lot of their stuff is very, very emotionally oriented. But in any case, think about what are the emotional attractors that draw people to your business, and then what are the rational attractors. So you always have to have both, but I tend to like to lead with, this is just a sales tip and a copywriting tip here, but I tend to like to lead with more of the emotional reasons and then back it up with logical reasons, because people do need to justify their purchase with logical. But think about those things. What are the emotional reasons people are drawn to your business, and what are the rational reasons why people are drawn to your business? How does your product or service make them feel? What emotions are you trying to target? This is a copywriting thing too, but a lot of times business people, if they're writing their own marketing messages, if they're doing their own copywriting, sometimes resort to the 2 basic copywriting emotions of fear and greed. Those 2 things tend to, and actually you can apply fear and greed to almost anything, but that's kind of basic, and you need to go a little bit deeper than that. So think about what's going to resonate a little bit better than the typical ones. So just I guess some things to think about, but let me ask and just open this up for a few minutes here too. But when it comes to marketing, before I give you some, I'm going to talk about these 7 strategies. What did you call it? 7 strategies to sell more? I do have 7 here. I like the number 7, by the way. And this is something interesting too. I don't know. I keep track of what other people are doing in marketing, and besides things that I get in my mailbox, and I actually still get a fair amount of direct mail. I keep track. I have one email address where I use that just to sign up for other people's newsletters and just to keep tabs and keep my finger on the pulse of what other people are doing in my competitors and just people in the industry and people that know what they're doing more than I do. And one thing I've noticed with email subject lines lately, this is interesting, is that there seems to be a growing trend toward the use of numbers, like 7 ways to do this, or 5 ways to do this, and 3 ways to do this, or kind of how-to type things, but with numbers, kind of a list. And people like those, and I think the people that are sending out these marketing messages, a lot of them test their stuff, so they know what's working and what's not. And I got to believe that if a lot of people are doing it, like I'm talking like half of all my email subject lines, it seems like over the last 2 weeks, have a number in them. And it seems like most of the numbers are odd numbers, which is interesting. I think odd numbers work better than even, and the numbers 5 and 7 seem to be coming up more than others. So just something to think about. The other formula, and I don't like to work by formula or write by formula, but the other formula that I'm seeing is the words who, what, and how as like subject lines. So when you open your emails, if you get email marketing messages, think things that start like how to do this, or what business people are saying about Los Alamos, or why people are coming down to Los Alamos, or just those two formulas, the who, what, why formula, and using a number in the subject line. This could apply to a headline on an article too. I'll give you some tips later on headlines and subject lines, but let me ask you, what kind of marketing have some of you done that's anything that's worked well? Anybody doing anything that's working well right now as far as marketing?
I mean, Facebook works pretty well for us, but I probably don't do 80-20. I probably do more 95-5, trying to post things of value to people. And then occasionally I'll post something about product. I'll actually have people tell me, oh, you should talk about your stuff.
Yeah. And I think on social media, maybe that's even different. You're maybe probably even okay doing that on Facebook. If it's email marketing, then I would definitely do a little bit more selling with email marketing. Facebook, yeah, maybe you're okay doing only 5%, but if people are telling you could sell to us more.
Yeah, it's actually fascinating. And then when I'll post something that I think is really valuable information, like talking about how like your puppy can die by eating a penny. You got to be really careful because of zinc toxicity. And that gets a little bit of traffic. And then I'll post something completely random like, hey, look, we just got this toy in. And it'll get like 50 likes and a bunch of shares. And it's like, what?
Yeah.
Like it's, you know what I mean? So sometimes I'm surprised.
Interesting, yeah. Now, are you finding a way to track your social media stuff?
Well, as everybody says, it's hard to have metrics for that, right? But sometimes I'll put something in there and somebody will come in and say, hey, I saw it on Facebook. I posted some video too of the products, and they say, oh, I saw that. So they get it. So I think that's our number one. But my issue is time. So we used to have a very consistent email newsletter, but as I post like 4 times a day on Facebook, and I try to find decent content for it, and I've just found I have less time to do the newsletter. And I think that's not a good idea, because not everybody's on Facebook.
I found that recently for my own business too. I have a pretty good following on Facebook, and somebody just one of the things that I do besides helping business owners is I also, as Mandy knows, I help other copywriters, and I have some services where I coach other copywriters and new people. And somebody just that I assumed everybody was on Facebook because I have a pretty big Facebook group. Well, somebody just found out about one of my services that I thought everybody knew about because I had finally put an email post out about that. I put a blog post and then I sent that out by email. So yeah, I guess not assuming that everybody is on all these things. So if you're big on, even if Twitter's working well for you or Facebook and you're doing that and people are connected that way, realize that not everybody is. Or even if you're doing email marketing, maybe not everybody's on your email list. And but what you're saying too about not having time for it. So are you doing all this stuff yourself mostly?
I am suffering.
You would think that it wouldn't take that long to write a Facebook post or just manage your social media campaign or throw together a monthly newsletter, but I know from being on the writing end of it that it can take time and focus. And if you're running a successful business, what I would just suggest is that you focus on what you do best and hire out. And this isn't a plug for my services or Mandy necessarily, but I'm just saying as a business owner, I do this myself. Hire out the stuff that isn't worth your time. For example, I just had to set up a new pay system using PayPal so people could pay me on my website, and I hadn't used that before. And I could have spent 3 days figuring it out myself, or I could have paid the guy to do it who did it in 1 hour, and it got up there and it was done, and I was happy and he was happy. But more and more, I'm farming out stuff and outsourcing things that I just either have zero interest in, or I know somebody can do it better than I can. And that's usually the case. I've got a technical guy that does my technical stuff. I have somebody that sets up my future meetings and stuff, that she's really good at that, and schedules my hotel rooms and this and that. I don't want to do everything. And I think you're better off doing things that you do best. So if you can find somebody, now the trick is thinking about, okay, am I going to get a payoff from this? So, for example, talking about this idea of putting together a monthly newsletter. Well, you might think, well, okay, that's nice and it'll look good and everybody will get my newsletter once a month, but how am I going to get a return on that? I would just say, one, if you're going to do something like that, don't just try it on a little basis where you do it for 1 month or 2 months and then say, well, it didn't work, we didn't get anything from it. I would set a longer time horizon and just realize that all these things kind of work together. They're all symbiotic. I mean, you can't just do one thing here in a vacuum, one thing here. It all kind of works together. So you have to be, these days I think you have to be doing some social media stuff. You have to be doing email marketing. They say like 68% of all emails are non-personal emails now. So that means, that they're maybe not all marketing messages. Some of them might be receipts and different things people are getting, but the majority of email that people are getting is 2/3 of it is marketing messages. Email to me is still the best way to sell and to get your message out to people. So you need to be developing an email list. Well, one way you can do that is with a monthly newsletter. So one thing I would suggest, if I don't know how you've all built your list, but on your website, somewhere on your website, and I've often found the upper right-hand corner is the best place for this, is have some kind of an opt-in box where you're offering your monthly newsletter and giving tips and ideas and advice for people. So you're giving them something of value before you're trying to even sell them something. Now that could also be a free report. It could be what you called, Andy, a white paper. What was that situation you were telling me about, a white paper?
Well, that was Mandy's brilliant work, where one of our members did a white paper that was sort of barfy about high speed internet.
A white paper is just essentially, for those of you who don't, explain real quick.
She took it in 1 hour. She took this thing that we labored on in 1 hour, because that's her profession. She turned it into a thing of beauty, added some really cogent material, and gave us something that we could use. It was really powerful. So, feel good about that.
Well, I'll tell you what.
I'll come see you about that. For a discount.
There truly is an art, and let me just touch on the writing side of things here for a second. There truly is an art to, I think it can be learned, but it takes time. There is an art to this craft of copywriting. And again, copywriting is just essentially sales in print. So the art of writing persuasively, and that writing persuasively comes into play whether it's a white paper, a free report, a Facebook blog post, or a Facebook post, a blog post. Even the articles in your monthly newsletter, they're going to be informative, but there's a small element of persuasion in there too. I have 2 clients that I've been writing a monthly newsletter now for 3 years, and one of them, a chain of fitness studios out in California, they have, I don't take all the credit, but he has given me a testimonial on LinkedIn that he says that in large part he believes, if you look up my LinkedIn profile, a guy from The Perfect Workout says that they have like tripled their sales, and they started, when I started working for them, they had 6 studios, they now have 19, they've like tripled their sales, I mean they've exploded, and he attributes it in large part, and I don't take this much credit for it, but he attributes it in large part to the fact that we're sending out a physical and online monthly newsletter to all their entire email list and their clients, so not just clients but non-clients too, and it's really helped spread the word. But it's articles about fitness, it's articles, human interest stories about their clients, human interest stories about their internal employees. Mandy?
Can you give some ideas of what types of things are good for to tempt people to give an email address? Like, what should people give in return? What should businesses give in return for email address?
I think, one, it has to be something of value, some kind of a report or something that it has to be, I think, even more than just a newsletter. I think having some kind of a report that's going to be something of substance, not just 3 tips, not like a blog post, but like a a substantial report that tells them, like, 7 ways to have a healthier dog. That's a very basic, generic thing, but just something along those lines. Or 12 reasons why flowers aren't just for special occasions. Or these aren't the best examples I'm coming up with off the top of my head, but something substantial, a report with an enticing headline. And this is where an enticing headline, you might think, well, gosh, I can't think of anything. Well, that's our job as copywriters, is to come up with an enticing headline. But you put the title of the headline of the report on your website, and that draws people in. Mine has been up there so long that I can't remember exactly the title of it now, but something like my free report says, how to romance your customers for a long-term relationship and increased sales, is the title of my report on my website. And people like that. They're like, oh, okay, yeah, I don't want just a one-time sale. I want a long-term relationship. And the whole report, it ties in the idea of, it kind of makes the analogy of romancing your customer and having romancing your, I don't know.
What you're doing there is you're saying, here, I can help you solve your problem.
Yes.
That's what the report,
Yes.
the freebie has to do. I don't know if that's what you're looking for.
Yes, exactly. And then what people are getting from me beyond that then is, when I'll put a new blog post out, everything I'm doing is designed to think from the reader's standpoint, my potential client's standpoint, viewpoint. What are they looking for? What answers are they looking for that I could possibly help them with? And I try to position myself, and this has become kind of a buzzword lately, but I actually like this term, becoming a thought leader. I've been hearing that expression a lot in business circles lately, becoming known as a thought leader in your industry. And again, you can apply that no matter what business you're in. If you're in the skincare business or the pet business or the flower business or whatever it is, I think you can apply that idea, and that's where the whole idea of content marketing would come into play. Let me kind of move along with a few of these things, and then we'll open this up again, and I'll answer any questions. But so the 7 strategies to sell more in Los Alamos. These were just the ideas that I had, and again, I've been talking a lot about marketing. I think you need to tie in copywriting and marketing. You can have really, really good copywriting and someone that's a brilliant writer craft this excellent message, but you still have to have the method of getting it out there. If you're going to say, if one was going to be better than the other, I think truly actually marketing, you have to have a good marketing strategy, and the copywriting can be good. It doesn't have to be perfect, but they both matter. So you have to have both the marketing side and the writing side. You have to have a list, communicating regularly with your audience, newsletters. But here were my 7 ideas for Los Alamos as a whole, and you could apply this to your individual business. First was, if you need to think about your business in a new way, and Los Alamos as a whole, create a new identity. This would be the first thing. Just, even if you've been very successful up till now doing what you're doing, maybe just take a step back, look at your business from an outside perspective, and create a new identity. Maybe come up with a new tagline. Maybe, this isn't my expertise, but a logo, but a tagline, a unique selling proposition. Figure out, okay, what is my most compelling benefit? For Los Alamos, I'd say if you can do that and meet together on a regular basis like this and get everybody on board, business owners like you, civic leaders, government people, and somehow get everybody on board to come up with some agreement on Los Alamos and how to position Los Alamos, that would be beautiful. Number 2, start spreading the news. I was thinking of that New York song when I hear it. That wasn't what I was thinking of when I wrote that, but start spreading the news. I think social media is probably the best way to start and probably the most efficient way to start. Doesn't have to cost you a lot of money. I've actually gotten some good mileage out of Facebook ads, but you don't even have to spend any money on social media to get the word out there. And again, if you don't have time to do it yourself, have somebody else that really knows what they're doing. Outsource that. Have somebody else do that. I have clients that's all they do is and it's not a huge cost, but they just pay me to write a few blog posts. It's a certain number of Facebook posts, Twitter, tweets, and blog posts, and that's what I do for them every month. So, and I know Mandy does the same thing. So start spreading the news. Use social media. Make sure you set up a Facebook. If you don't have a Facebook business page, have a Facebook business page, a Twitter account, Google Plus. Anybody using Google Plus effectively? I'm not yet either. I'm telling you, I seriously think that's going to be just eventually as big as Twitter and Facebook. It's taken a little bit longer for people to grab a hold of it, and I haven't quite grasped it yet either, but there's going to be a lot there. I think there's a lot there in Google authorship and Google Places and all that stuff. So Google's going to basically run the entire universe at some point. So jump on board with that. So I guess an action item with that would be just start building all those accounts and pages for your business, as well as I don't know if any one person is involved in this. Is there one website for the city that somebody does this kind of stuff for? Do you do that?
Oh, I have people that do that I work with.
Yeah, okay.
I'm trying to figure out the best way.
Cool. But just, I'd say in general, get people engaged. It's just a word that I like, and it's kind of a buzzword, but get people engaged. Post regularly with interesting stuff, quality content combined with good writing. And I'll tell you what, even Facebook posts, and I have tracked this on a very informal basis, but on my own Facebook posts, when I throw something up there and slap it up there and just don't put any thought into it, and then I look at the likes that I get, and then when I really craft a succinct, good message that's got some value for people, it's just amazing the difference in likes and the difference in views and how many people see that. And then the likes on my business page go up when I put something of value on there. So interesting.
And I just went and publicly vandalized the whole town, and that was the best way for me to get it. With their googly eye.
What was that all about?
Well, over spring break, we Googled the town, so everybody took pictures of googly eyes on different things. And I got so many more likes
Seriously?
on that than I ever got from writing anything.
Hey, sometimes an interesting shtick like that will.
Cute kittens, it always helps.
There you go.
Good thing on there.
Yeah. People like the animal pictures. They do.
When I
Yeah.
first started, I was like, you know what, this is a smart town. I'm going to write these smart posts about these things, right? And then I started going to the pictures of the cat in the, night uniform, and somehow there was more likes. I'm like,
The customer's outfit on the Roomba.
Oh, yeah, the cat on the Roomba and the shark suit, that got a lot of likes and shares. I'm thinking, really?
Interesting.
We built the internet apparently so people can share cat videos.
Yeah. Yeah.
A bunch of people, Darth Vader in a kilt with bagpipes on a unicycle, so I had to share a cat on the Roomba with
Now, as long as people associate those things with you and remember your brand and your company, and that's all good. Number 3, perception. Really, perception is everything. And this one, I was thinking of Los Alamos as a whole, but I think you could apply this to your individual business too. And perception is everything. I would say change people's perception somehow, and this is going to take time, but change people's perception of Los Alamos. And don't wait for some committee to decide what the official ruling is or that you're going to do this. Each of you individually start doing it. You can not only, here's what I think, and I don't know exactly how you do it. Mandy would probably be able to figure this out more because she lives here, but figure out a way to not only make things twofold, not only advance your own business and your own brand, but at the same time find a way to change people's perception of Los Alamos. If you can do 2 in 1, there's your challenge, Mandy. Do both things at the same time for people. Change the image of your brand and your company, but also somehow tie in Los Alamos into that as well. I think everybody doing that on a little case-by-case basis will help. But here's some ideas. Spread the image more. Again, this is the city as a whole, but with articles about Los Alamos, not just in the paper, but magazines if you can get them, but online. You could even with your own businesses, if you have a blog on your website, not always just write about your business, but just help each other. Write articles about Los Alamos, and heck, maybe you write about your business and you write about her business, or just cross-promote sometimes. You're not all in most of you aren't in competitive businesses anyways, but heck, if you really want to do something radical, find somebody who is truly a competitor and write a nice article about them. You know? So get some things out there. This would come into, I'm not going to get into a lot of detail on search engine optimization stuff too, but start building articles and online stuff about Los Alamos as a whole, and I think, and just tie that in and figure out, this would be a discussion for another time and maybe a whole other topic, but figure out what keywords could we target that would help people when they're searching to come up, so that Los Alamos articles come up in those, and different sites come up in the search engine results. I don't know, that would take a whole strategy, and I don't have the answer to that, but this would be something too. Maybe something comparing how Los Alamos is different than Santa Fe. So maybe when people search for something about Santa Fe, the article about Los Alamos comes up because you compared yourself to Santa Fe.
By putting the word Santa Fe and people that are
Yes.
searching for Santa Fe
Yeah.
are all of a sudden reading an article
Yeah.
about Los Alamos.
Yeah, just an interesting concept. I've heard that work with competitors before. Number 4, craft a good message. This is where copywriting comes in. And you need more than just image ads or awareness ads. You need people to do something, to come to your business and spend money. I would say in the action item on this, whether you do it yourself, if you think you can, or have the time, or really think you have the ability to do this, and it's great if you do, but otherwise hire it out. I think every business on a regular basis really needs to put out top-notch, again, what I would call direct response, web copy, print ads, email marketing, online ads. It's just not a once-in-a-while thing. It just you need to have some kind of strategy, and just do that on a regular basis. This is not related to any particular strategy or component, but just the concept of over-delivering. Step it up, take it to the next level with customer service, delivering and you're probably all doing this already anyways, but just make sure that you're over-delivering, especially with new people when that's their first impression of you. And this would be true, it gives a good impression of the city as a whole too. Again, perception is what counts. If people start seeing Los Alamos as a truly special place that it is, and worthy of visiting, I think, and they have a good experience here, even if they just came here and just went to your business, you just keep that in mind. And somebody from out of town, and they come to your business, you might be the only face of Los Alamos that they see. And just make sure you're going all out to make sure that they get a good impression of Los Alamos from that. I mentioned search engine optimization. That is a whole other topic. It's probably too lengthy for tonight, but I would say, and what I mean by that is optimizing your site with keywords so that people can find you when they're searching, just doing an organic search on Google or Bing, that you come up higher in the search results. So figuring out, it kind of takes some backward detective work, but thinking about what keywords people would search for your business for. So if they knew they were coming to Los Alamos, or people that even live here, and they're trying to find you, or let's say somebody is making a side trip here, making sure that whatever your business focuses on, that you're targeting those keywords, and then making sure that you have content on your website for that. So what does that take? That takes regular writing. Okay, that's another hassle thing that I don't have time for. I already don't have time for the Facebook stuff and the social media. Now you want me to write articles so that I come up higher in search engines? Well, again, that could be part of a whole package that somebody else does for you if you hire it out. So, and then the last thing I wrote here was develop a long-term marketing strategy. It's not just an occasional, once-in-a-while thing, like, okay, sales were down last month, we need to step it up this month, let's get some advertising out there. I would figure a strategy where you're doing things consistently, and this again, could sometimes sitting down with somebody who has an outside perspective on your business. I have a colleague back in Madison in a different business. we just do this to help each other out, but we'll sit down once a month at a coffee shop, and she'll tell me about her business and the challenges she's been having. I'll tell her about mine, and we'll just brainstorm ideas for each other, sometimes doing that for somebody else versus trying to think for your own business. So just a suggestion. But so those are some of the ideas I have. A couple other things I want to throw out there real quick too about
Is that 7?
I think that was 7.
I didn't write that.
So let me just repeat here. So first was creating a new identity. Number 2 is start spreading the news. Number 3 was perception is everything. Number 4 was craft a good message. Number 5 was over deliver. 6 was the idea of search engine optimization. And then 7 is just having a long-term strategy. I'm throwing a lot of stuff out there here. Again, I think a few things that I've mentioned that I just would reiterate, that I think this idea of a monthly or even a weekly, I found that I just find in general people don't connect with their audience enough, and most business people think they're doing too much. Whether they send an email out once a week or a newsletter out once a week or once a month or quarterly, it seems like everybody thinks they're doing it just a little bit too much and they don't want to do any more. And I think it's almost always the opposite. People aren't doing enough, and people just gut instinct. I don't know.
I think it's natural to get, because what happens is, even if you have an opt-in list, you'll have like one person out of 2,000 emails will report you as spam.
Opt out or yeah.
Right? So I think that you see that, but what you have to realize is that's not the person that you wanted to be talking to anyway, right? But I think that's why, is because
Yeah.
you see like a
True.
couple people opt out and you're like, oh my goodness, I've offended somebody, you know? And it's like, no, maybe they moved out of town, you don't know.
I did the same thing recently. I used MailChimp, and I saw one person last week had dropped off my list. I'm like, I wanted to find out who it was, and like, okay, who doesn't like my stuff? Come on, it's like, what's wrong with this person? But yeah, and I think so yeah, I'm what I'm going off of. Yeah, it's not any.
It's probably true. I mean, I think you're right when you just said it. You just take yourself. Do I listen to it? Like, I think the number thing, if it's 3, I'll read 3. I can read 3. I can take time to do 3 if it's not, it's something that's contained and that kind of thing.
The thing with the number ones too is that I like is that if it says 3, okay, I know I can read 3 things in about a minute or less, and but if it's like 19 ways to improve your search engine optimization strategy, that's getting, So here's the other thing in headlines. I'll just give you a couple tips. And when I'm saying headlines, I'm talking about headlines of an article. And this is, let me ask you, what do you think the purpose of either a headline or a subject line in an email is? There's really one purpose. What's the purpose? Yeah, to get them to open the email, to get them to read the rest of it. So I mean, you really have to craft good headlines and subject lines. But one thing that I like to do too is imply some kind of a benefit that they're going to get just from reading the email or just from reading the article, and I like to do that. So even if they don't buy from me, I'm constantly trying to think, how can I add value to this person's day? How can I add value to their business? And I think the more you put out there without expecting anything in return, you'll start getting things back, and it's just natural. And people start looking at you as an expert. They start seeing you as a thought leader, somebody that's going places, and just, I don't know. There's just it has an interesting effect.
Steve's actually done this the past, 6 months. I've known Steve not super well, but through AWA. About 6 months ago, all of a sudden, he started saying, hey everybody, I'm going to help you with copywriting. I've got this new website, Copywriters Cafe, and it was almost like we were all copywriters, that's what we're doing right now, but it's online, and he set it up where copywriters go to his website, and they're sharing ideas, just sharing ideas, and Steve's kind of at the top, and he's giving advice, and just everybody goes to it.
Is it a blog?
It's a
It's
Facebook page, but then it's
two
also
things. I have a website, and it's a blog on the website, but a Facebook group too. So, yeah.
started
So,
out giving, just giving, and then now it's starting to turn the tide. It's starting to.
I really wasn't sure actually how one, I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure if anything would take off, and it did. But I really wasn't trying to think of a way to monetize it. I just thought, you know what? I think I just saw a need out there and a gap.
Being really genuine.
So, but yeah, but now it's just come around, and it's just now people are paying me for a bunch of things, and it's all coming back to me. But that wasn't really my original intent, and I'm glad it is working out that way. But my point is, and thank you, Mandy, for saying that. I just think the more you put out there, the more value you offer to somebody else, and just always be thinking about that. How can we give more value to our customers that it'll pay off? But on headlines here, this is just a real simple thing, and Mandy, you know this formula. But when you're writing a subject line, just 4 questions you can ask yourself to see: is this a pretty strong headline or subject line, or is this kind of not so good? And it's just 4 questions you can ask. They all start with the letter U. Just ask yourself: is this useful? Is it unique? You know these, don't you? Useful, unique. Is it urgent? And then the last one that I really like is it ultra specific? Oh, specific on anything: headlines, article content, Facebook blog post, whatever it might, Facebook post, blog post, whatever. Specific always trumps generalities. You don't want to have just generic advice or generic, very specific things. So those are a few things. So we talked about the idea of newsletters, social media a lot, email marketing, videos. This is just one last thing I want to say is the idea of videos. YouTube has been around for a long time, and certainly there's ways you could incorporate doing a 3-minute video about your business somehow and putting that up on YouTube. You could send that out by email. You could put it as a blog post. You could put it on Facebook. But a couple new trends that I'm seeing that I've been working on for customers with videos. One is something called talking videos. Have any of you ever opened up an email and it had you click on a link, and it was essentially a script that was it was just a script. It wasn't like a video, like an action video. It was just a script that a voiceover talent was reading. Have any of you opened those up or seen those at all? It's very interesting, but apparently the results on these are like double or triple just having a letter. Right, Mandy? Isn't it? And maybe it's even more than that. You were telling me.
It's almost like you start, when you click on it, you start hearing it, and
Sure.
you're walking around.
But anyways, this idea of, I actually wrote one for a, it's just very interesting. I wrote one. I had a client who was a physical therapist, and he had a local practice, and he was seeing about, I think he had about 300 patients a year that he was seeing on a regular basis in his office, in his practice. But he came up with this program, a DVD and a book, where he taught people these 19 exercises that they could do at home to rehabilitate themselves, or even to do before they got injured to ward off the idea of injury. And he focused his practice on runners and triathletes, actually. But anyways, we wrote one of these talking videos, and it was just, I wrote the script for it, and it turned out to be about a 12-minute video. So people sat there on this website and just listened to this video. It was just somebody talking. There was no action or anything. It was just listening to somebody talk versus sending out.
Somebody the face, somebody's sitting there talking.
No,
or it just
no, it's just word. It's words on a screen, so you see the words and you hear them. Yeah, it's like subtitles. Yeah, exactly.
Thing that I've looked at those, and I'm immediately turned off because I'm from the older generation.
Yeah.
But the thing that they do allow you to do is listen to the message while you're multitasking.
True.
And that
True.
is, and I think that's why people
Yeah.
play.
Yeah.
and absorb it.
Yeah, and it's interesting that there's a formula to all this stuff, and this just ties into a formula to all this stuff. There's a structure to good copywriting. I would say almost an architecture to it, that if you have certain elements in place in the proper order, it tends to draw people in. You know, there's one formula that says, well, you have to make a promise first, and then you have to paint a picture and kind of, you know, paint this picture in people's eyes, and then you have to show proof. You have to show, well, this is why, and then you have to prompt them to take action. So there's this formula with whether it's an email message or a talking video or a sales letter. So anyways, they used to have this landing page, a static, all this stuff was written out in a different form. I rewrote it, but they used to have a landing page, a short landing page, about a one-page thing that explained what this DVD was this physical therapist had. But then when we changed it to a talking video, I mean, it doubled the response. And they're still using it. I wrote this 2 years ago. They're still using the same talking video 2 years later. It's bringing in a lot of sales. So, yeah, people are using them. So that's a trend that you might look into and see if there's a way you could incorporate that somehow into your business. The other one that's really interesting and fascinating is what I call, I don't know what they call them officially, but I call them doodle videos. I don't know if you've ever seen these. They're fascinating. It's like, it's the same concept. It's a video, but they'll have a picture. This will be like a guy videotaping, and it would be like me if I had a whiteboard here. While somebody, the voiceover guy, is talking, he'll have a guy like drawing caricature style on a whiteboard, like drawing out what he's explaining. And if you go to a website called ydraw.com, the letter Y and then draw, so ydraw.com, that's a company, I'm not an affiliate of theirs, I don't have anything to do with them, but that's a company that makes these doodle videos. But it's interesting, they explain them, how they work, the psychology behind them, why people listen to them, why people respond to them. And I've seen these used in everything from very high-tech, like business-to-business environments, where you would think, oh my gosh, I had a client who, actually not a client, it was a friend of mine who had a business selling accounting software to grocery stores. I didn't even understand it. It was just kind of a high-tech business-to-business thing. And this company on their website used, what was it? It's called, the website was balanceinnovations.com, and they used this idea of a doodle video. Another company called level3.com, again, a business-to-business high-tech company. You would think, okay, they're talking to scientists, very educated people, you know, they got to elevate their level of writing here and talk at the level of, no, these people are writing very simple and bringing it down to a level that everybody can understand. But doodle videos, they're just fascinating. So check out ydraw.com and you'll see a few examples there. If you can find a way to incorporate those into your business at all, that would be kind of cool. I think I'm going to make a doodle video for myself.
I've got a whiteboard at the Art Center. You're welcome to come use it.
There we go. There we go.
I can't draw, can we?
You're an artist. Maybe you could be the guy drawing them. Yeah. Can you draw on a whiteboard?
I would be happy to draw on a whiteboard.
People like cartoons. I mean, and it's funny, in the U.S. there's little kid type things, but like, you know, when I lived in Japan, there's books on quantum mechanics that are cartoons, right? So it's different. You know, they're college textbooks that are basically cartoons. So. And it's different.
Commercial ad with the drawing.
Who did?
UPS.
Really? Interesting. Very interesting.
I have a question on the videos. If you're if it's on your website, it's one thing, but if you're putting it like out in, I guess they could wait. But is there a timing thing? Because you want to send an email out with a video, and the person gets it at work, and they're like, "Oh, holy crap! I can't have this playing, right? Because I'm not supposed to be screwing around right now."
Yeah.
So, do you send those more at night? How do you do that?
You know, I haven't tested that yet. I don't know. I would think that's probably a good idea, though. And I know there's certain days of the week. They say, I don't know, Tuesdays and Thursdays are good for sending out emails, I think.
One email that I saw, it really capitalized on the I'm missing out at work kind of thing. It was an email that was selling an expensive program. It was a DVD program for $300, but the the subject line said something about a TV show. It was talking about Breaking Bad, like, or it wasn't even about Breaking Bad. It said, you know, what do drugs have to do with such and such? And then it turned out to be about Breaking Bad, but then it was about, you know, getting excited about something, and then it was about this $300 program, and all of a sudden I wanted to buy it, you know? I think that if someone was messing around with it, they would want to read that, you know?
Sending out the videos, first of all, talk to your techie guy. If you could put that video on YouTube.
Oh, I am the techie guy, and I put videos on YouTube.
But then in your email, using an HTML email, all you have is the code.
Right.
That the email is small. And it pulls
Oh,
it.
no, I know. But,
Yeah.
but the issue is once they've clicked on it and they've seen it, then they go home later, it's down in their email now, and they might not reopen that email, is what I'm saying, you know? So I think, when is the optimum time to actually send anything that links to
Oh,
video?
so that they will look at it.
So that they'll actually look
Yeah,
at
I would think maybe after hours, not work hours.
If they really want to read, they'll save it.
Yeah, that's true too. Like you can mark it, but I do that. I like star something, and then it's like, oh god, my life is chaos. I never see it again, right? You know, I just didn't know if there were studies.
How many people do you want to really look at it? I mean, you want everybody to look at it,
Right.
but
Yeah.
if you had 5% of your list looked at it.
I mean, typically, I don't know if my open rates are normal or not. It's about 30% of my emails.
That's pretty good.
That's what they open, yeah.
That's open, right? Whether they read it.
Maybe if you put a subject line, "Don't read this at work," everybody would be like, "Oh, what's that?" I'm just kidding.
I mean, and you can have emails, but I could see like there's certain emails I wouldn't do. You can have emails that really would probably get people to open them. But on the other hand, I sort of start feeling like you get into this used car salesman mode, right? Like I could write something that plays the fear thing, but I don't want to go there, right?
One thing, talking about that and the style of writing and stuff, the one thing I always try to do is two terms that I use a lot, this idea of conversational writing. In fact, if in fact I own that domain name because I like that term a lot, and it goes to one of the pages on my website, but this idea of talking to people in a conversational tone, if you can, I think, and that's where you can, there's this hesitation to get into this mode of what you called used car salesman mode, and not being over the top and too salesy or whatever. But I guess my approach to that is always to try to write in what I call a conversational writing tone, where I'm always trying to write in no matter what size your business is and how big your audience is, I always try to write in a way that feels like to the reader that I'm writing to them, and that I'm writing that it's coming just from one person. So kind of this one-to-one idea, and just a test, and this is just something I call the coffee shop test. I hang out in coffee shops a lot and do a lot of my writing in coffee shops, but write, I guess the way I would describe this very easily is just write the way you would talk. And if you can explain something that you're a product or service or anything that you're putting out there to your readers in a way that you would describe it, if you were sitting here and you and Andy were sitting here and you knew Andy and you guys were just talking as friends and you were trying to explain it to him, the way you would describe it across the table at a coffee shop, that's hopefully maybe the right, and that tone doesn't work, that conversational tone doesn't always work for every business and everybody, but I think the more you can develop just a more authentic, genuine conversational voice, the more it will resonate with people. People will see you as a real person. And this goes for websites too. The less you can have like what I call corporate speak and talk, stuff about you and how great your company is and using company language and jargon and stuff, and just more talk to, even on your website, talk to the reader as if they're a real person and you're just connecting with them. It's just kind of a general rule of mine, but the idea of conversational writing, but just realize too with all this stuff that social media is not just a way to get more likes and followers and stuff. It is truly about business, and you can use social media to help your business grow too. Got a few other things here too, but we've gone quite a while here. Any questions? And I want to kind of wrap this up. I don't know how. Is Mandy coming back, by the way? Or? Oh, that's right. That's right. She's got a dress rehearsal, doesn't she? Yeah. Okay. You have to go too.
No, I'm taking you to dinner.
Oh, okay.
Okay. No. You're just stranded.
I'll find my way back somewhere.
Or date.
I gotta say, she set me up really nice. She got me in. Flew into Albuquerque today. Flew me here on a little plane and set me up in a bed and breakfast. Yeah. It was great.
Figure out how to market that well into our businesses.
Yeah.
I am.
Did you see, Cindy, that I put these in your?
Yes, yeah, we've been giving them out. Word
Have you?
out. Yeah, we need more.
I know, I need to get these to.
I'm just telling you in general, and
I'll start
I'm
like the island in Carmelo Sheds. It was every time I hear it fly over.
I'm excited because we might be able to actually fish because we haven't been able to because I'd have to drive to Albuquerque. I'm going to talk to them about picking up the fish because they come from Los Angeles. So Los Angeles, Albuquerque, Los Alamos, they would actually be alive if they could.
Oh, this is better.
I thought when I had the restaurants, there was a lot of stuff that got flown fish that got flown into Albuquerque that 2 days later when they finally delivered it by truck up here, it was too late.
couple last things. First of all, if anybody has any follow-up questions after this, you can get in touch with Mandy, and she can get in touch with me. You can find me directly on the internet, of course. Just Google my name, or my website is Web Content Copywriting. My purpose in coming here was not necessarily to promote myself. I actually am I'm kind of like you. I'm booked up with clients right now, and I don't actually have time to take on any new clients for the next couple months. But I would be glad to answer any questions that you have. And I've worked with Mandy for a short time now, and I know her and the quality of stuff that she does. And obviously one of the reasons I came here too was to promote the idea of her helping any of you too. She's good at what she does, and I think if you have some needs in this realm, she would be able to give you some good ideas. Even if you don't end up using her long term or at all, she's just a great person she'll give you some ideas that might help your business. But I really think you all have a good thing going here. I don't know your individual businesses, but just the town as a whole. I travel a lot. I just in the last 4 months I've been in like 15 different cities. I put on these 2-day workshops, these copywriting workshops for business people, where we talk about this kind of stuff for 2 days straight. So it's like 12 hours of material. So if you ever want to go really in depth and learn this stuff, I have workshops that I do on that stuff. But so being in a lot of cities and traveling a lot, and I've been in all 50 states, and I like getting off the beaten path myself. I love small towns like this that have something unique that everybody else doesn't go to. And just from what I can see, you do have a lot. You have a good foundation here and a good solid group of business people that care. You guys care about your town. You care about marketing it. Nobody's coming in and leaving. It seems like everybody's here for the long haul. And I think there's a lot of ways you could leverage what you have here and make it bigger. I think part of it, this is just a general thing, but it just starts with thinking bigger and thinking of yourselves a little differently than you have, and having a little different identity, and I don't know, just in general thinking bigger and thinking differently and thinking of it from an outsider's perspective. All those things that I mentioned in the beginning, the tagline ideas and stuff, I just think those are in the words that I would use to describe your town.
But Santa Fe already took City Different.
Did they?
Yeah.
City really different.
More different than Santa Fe.
Interesting. I'll have to, now that I've been here, and I'm going to see a little bit more tonight and tomorrow, but I'll see what I can come up with and see if I...
Let's send people up our way.
Yeah. But this is a neat town. I would think that this would be a place you could market as a destination for history buffs too. I mean, I don't know my history enough, but my goodness, this the Manhattan Project, the whole man, there's some interesting stuff here. Very interesting stuff. I would think some entrepreneurial type could, and maybe somebody's already doing this, but create, a tour of all the kind of secret stuff, and not what is it?
Buffalo tours.
Ah.
City tours.
Yeah. I personally love stuff like that. So I think there's a lot of things you could do, but I guess if anything, the last few things I would tell you is just think about and really take a step back and think about your ideal client and come up with what I would call an ideal client. Start here. Come up with what I would call an ideal client profile. And really, if you can, I know it's in your mind and you can think of this, describe them, but if you can articulate it, write it down, write a paragraph description of who your ideal client is, getting into not just demographics like, okay, it's men aged 45 to 65 who, not more than that. Really get into detail and think about like lifestyles and attitudes and values and those kind of things, and really be able to describe who your ideal client is. If somebody asked you just off the street, hey, who's your ideal client for your business? You could give them this little encapsulation of who it is. I think if you can articulate it, that's the first step in crafting your marketing message to that person. And then I would say just find a way to build your list, both your email list and your physical list, and then use your list a little bit more often than you maybe think is comfortable. And along with that, every time you're touching somebody, whether it's a Facebook post, a blog post, or a pure sales message, whatever it might be, just make sure you're giving them value of some kind. I got about 100 other tips, but we'll leave it at that. So thank you for inviting me in today.